So as we now step into a conversation that truly reflects where healthcare is headed, a world where treatment is no longer reactive but predictive, where decisions are no longer delayed but real time, and where care is not generalized but deeply personalized. Where this panel focuses on continuous precision care, AI, targeted therapies, and real time clinical decision making. This panel discussion is not just about technology, it is about transforming the entire continuum of care. From decoding the complex data through AI to delivering the targeted therapies to empowering clinicians with real time decision support. And this is the new frontier of the precision medicine. And to steer this insightful discussion, may I now invite our moderator, Dr. Rajiv Kaushal, Vice President at Asian Society of Digital Pathology, Professor Oncopathology at Tata Memorial Hospital, Mumbai. Let's welcome him with a round of applause and keep your hands rolling as I would like to invite the other panelist, Dr. Somil Vyas, Additional Director, Surgical Oncologist at Sir H.N. Reliance Foundation Hospital, Mumbai. Dr. Sachin Trivedi, Director, Medical Oncologist at HCG Hospital, Mumbai. Dr. Sanjeeva Srivastava, Professor, Department of Biosciences and Bioengineering at Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. Mr. Yogendra Davalkar, General Manager, Commercial at Premas Life Sciences. And Dr. Bharat Bhosle, Senior Consultant Medical Oncologist at Bombay Hospital, Mumbai. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, and after this very interesting discussion and the presentations, we are now moving to the next session, which is on the panel discussion on very exciting topic that is continuous precision care, AI, targeted therapies, and real-time clinical decisions. So the message is, as we know, that a lot of things, especially in terms of the technology, has changed the practice of medicine. And is it how the impact of this is happening into the clinics? That's what we are going to discuss in next 30 to 40 minutes. And so without wasting much time, I would like to address this panel in two parts. In round one, where we will discuss about where are we now, what are the capabilities, gaps, and the ground realities. And to start the discussion, I would like to ask Dr. Somil with the first questions. And he's a surgical oncologist, but many patients, despite we have different specialties now, especially in oncology, surgery, radiation oncology, medical oncology, but many patients end up for the first evaluation to the surgical colleague. And during your clinical practice over a period of many years, how you are seeing the AI applications are changing the workflow of the practice or your in your routine OPDs. Just if you can share your experience of the walkthrough of the patients in your OPDs and its impact.
Yeah, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to Voice of Healthcare to have me here. Thanks, Rajiv. So I think, as you asked me that as a surgical oncologist, how do I approach a patient and how has AI influenced my clinical decision-making and practice? I think to start off, most of even my co-panelists and clinicians would agree that the basics are non-negotiable. I mean, so when you start off seeing a patient, you basically take a comprehensive history, the clinical examination, get the relevant biochemistry, hematology, and then go on to progress through more advanced imaging. That's how a surgical oncologist typically looks at things. And then, of course, you advance to more tests like endoscopy, biopsy, etc. AI will impact. I mean, it is an addendum, it's an adjuvant right now, if I may use that word in cancer terminology, but it's not going to really replace the basics, because here every patient, every situation, every clinical scenario is unique. And you basically apply those particular scenarios into AI, but don't let it entirely take over. I'm sure things will change, but as clinical practice stands now, whether it's OPD-based, inpatient-based, or in the operating room, AI essentially is, I would still say in my clinical practice, investigational, it's not really come so much, but I'm sure things will change and we need to be open to more ideas to incorporate this into practice.
So any other difference of opinion, especially is it how it is making impact in your clinical decision making in the initial part, Bharat?
Hello. So I completely agree. AI clinician cannot replace a real clinicians. The way we have been taught to approach towards a patient or a difficult case, history taking, examination, then judicial writing of the test. Now, there has always been a criticism of writing too many tests or no lesser test. There are no defending aspect for both the things. AI, I personally feel that it can amplify your work. Like in the previous discussion, you were asking how much time we talk to the patient. There are doctors who see 150 patients in OPD, and there are doctors who are seeing 10 patients in OPD. I think we can use technology to triage that, like we do it in emergency, that this patient needs urgent attention, this patient can be seen later, and this patient, no, in a trauma, in an emergency, disaster situation. Like AI can help us, you can spend 2 minutes is adequate for this patient, then can you address that particular problem? But there are patients who require actually 2 hours. And then you have to involve other specialties like oncopsychology and other genetic counseling. Too many things needs to be addressed. A single doctor can't do that. And you can't have across the India all the tumor boards. At my clinic in Precision, what I do, obviously like I can call Somil and get him online, but you can actually create a virtual tumor board. I'm a medical oncologist. If I need a help of a radiation oncologist, a need of a surgeon, precisely in that particular time, I can know the entire planning, how a surgical, being a medical oncologist, I'm not a perfect surgical oncologist, but in that particular time, the decision can be faster and delivered to the patient in real time. Because not always we have to keep on waiting and say, call the patient afterwards. There are emergencies in oncology and there are things can be planned in oncology. I think that way we can amplify the work, but AI cannot replace a good clinician.
And is anyone from you is using AI tools to summarize your electronic medical records so that you can save on the time? So any feedback on that?
So,
Yes, Jay.
see, it's a very interesting question you asked. And all of us, especially in the general public, would like to believe that AI has really transformed everything that we're doing right now. But I like to point out, it's full of opportunities, pregnant with opportunity. What is happening today with AI? What we are witnessing in clinic, and especially in medical oncology. See, medical oncology is a very unique area of work. We like to go into the depths of the understanding of DNA at the molecular level, but we are also going very wide, which is involving a lot of people, like Bharat said, involving a lot of people as team members. There are service aspects, there are logistics aspects, there are diagnostic aspects, and then there are decision-making aspects. That is all being touched in a very hidden way now, okay? So I don't think we are completely dependent, or we even ask the AI, to help us. But some of the clinics that you actually see, they are generating letters saying this is an AI-generated letter, and this is the feedback we have got. We're seeing that happening, but we are still, I don't think artificial intelligence is intelligent enough at the minute to actually allow us to be confidently dependent on that for decision making.
Yeah, so the message is that this is AI-assisted clinical practice, which should be advocated, and not completely AI will replace the healthcare providers. And now moving to some other aspects of this session, because this is on precision medicine, and precision medicine in current era is based primarily on the biomarker testing. And Dr. Sachin, as you have practiced both in UK as well as here, so one thing is how you see the difference in the practices earlier in abroad or in India, and what are the key challenges, especially in testing, which are still there in the Indian scenario?
Yeah, I think I moved back to India almost 3 years ago, and 3 years in precision oncology is maybe 2 generations. What was happening in UK and what is happening is very different. There is 90% of the patient, or 85 to 95% of the patient are covered by government healthcare. When it comes to government healthcare, precision oncology has its own limitations in terms of what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. There is strict protocol about what you expect to do as a next step, which gives an opportunity to run AI and make the systems much more smoother, which I think is already started happening. In the private world, I'm made to believe that there are a lot of people who are using AI analytics and AI diagnostic tools to, especially from your area of work in oncopathology, to assess that. Now, when you see what is happening in India, I think we have an edge over the European population because there is less regulation. I'm not saying that as something we could be proud of, but there are less regulation and things can move very fast and very quick. And sometimes, you know, it's a risk, but we can move much quicker than the Western population. Having said that, what I think is missing is the standardization of the lab processes and the confidence that oncologists actually can have in the results. So Bharat and I, we frequently joke about this. There are some labs that have 0 failure rate for NGS, yeah? The samples are always adequate. So we come across that. So there's standardization and having that confidence to say that, yes, this is the report we really believe in and we don't want a second opinion. That is, I would say, a big difference.
Yeah, and we being Indian always believe in some jugaad technology. So that is also keep on adding some, and we always, especially from the Indian perspective, we try to, whenever there is no solution, we try to match as close as to the evidence-based practice. And coming to Dr. Sanjeev, because you are from IIT Mumbai and you see, and India is considered to be the hub of engineers, but still there is a lack of standardization of the healthcare data. So what is your input on that? And then I'll come to some questions related to your key areas of interest.
Right. So one thing I think, you know, which is definitely AI has started showing the impact in the basic sciences and in which way we can start using that data set to make much better predictions and much smarter ways of targeting various problems. At IIT Bombay, we have KCDH, Koita Center for Digital Health, which is primarily now looking at a lot of data set from the healthcare and trying to build those models to utilize for various type of epidemiology and different type of other diseases to come up with a better way of patient management. So that's not directly towards the therapeutics, but again towards looking at the broader aspect of the data set, how to utilize that for the clinical decision making, which I think we are discussing how to how AI can be much more efficient for doing that. And that's where I think engineers will play an important role, how to take that stronger data set from India, which is a huge data set available, and build those models much more robust manner to come up with that kind of decision making. The founder of this particular center, KCDH, is Rijwan Koita. He himself has a big hospital management center, and again, they have experienced that how best now they can utilize directly from the AI and implement that in different places. So that definitely engineers and IT will play an important role broadly towards the utilizing the data for patient management.
Yeah, and I'd also like to highlight one of the key activity which Koita Center has recently taken is to have a uniform electronic health record (EHR) at the national scale. So it will help to bring the more standardization to the data, and then these AI tools can be more reliably applicable. Otherwise, we have to depend on the tools which are developed from the Western population, and without testing or validated on our platform.
And again, we're talking to Dr. Pramesh and the National Cancer Grid and how to really reach out to the larger data set.
Right, right. So in addition to genomics also now we talk a lot of discussion, especially in the research lab activity phases about the proteomics, and Dr. Sanjeev, you have a lot of experience in the proteomics. So how do you see the future of this technology into the clinical, real clinical applications in oncology? So if you can share your experience with that.
So I'll just split it in two parts. One, we were talking about AI impact, and the medicine has not reached that much. But again, in the actual protein research, it has made tremendous change, right? With the AlphaFold, to look at any structural changes in the protein, that has really made the visible difference, right? How we can now start thinking about if structural changes relate to the drug interactions and again which of the drug could be much better targeted is becoming much more reality. We have also utilized some of these artificial intelligence based models in our own research and try to utilize that to come up with some new software tools. One which we have made is the drug prot AI, which is looking at whether a protein has good predictability for a drug target. Because many times the clinical trial goes on testing for the protein, but eventually in the latter part they get failed. So we utilize all the US FDA data set to try to build the model which were actually passed, which were failed, and that was a huge data set available. And a lot of undergrads from computer science, IT Bombay were involved to look at how to utilize that model with the different type of machine learning algorithms to come up with the better prediction. And we reach almost 85 to 90% of accuracy for something unknown, and we try to utilize with the upcoming data from FDA and try to match that. So again, this is where I think AI can definitely reduce a lot of time and wastage and so much money which goes into the clinical trials to make smarter decisions upfront. We have also made another software named Alpha Cross Excel, which looks at protein conformational changes. Again, that could help us to look at which are the more receptor protein which will be druggable. And in the back end, we have integrated the AlphaFold to look at all the structural changes in that aspect. We've also made a database named BrainProt, which looks at almost 56 human brain diseases, from the brain cancer to the neurodegenerative disorders. And we are implementing the machine learning models to look at which is the best biomarker panel, which comes from across different type of data sets with the highest confidence level. So again, like, if I just come to the latter part of your question about the comparison genomics to proteomics, proteomics is giving us a lot of functional information for a lot of druggable protein targets. Most of the actual drug targets are the proteins, kinases, enzymes. So then that's where proteomics is playing important role already and going to play much more important role towards the better drug targets and better treatment. And with the AI tools, I think we are now accelerating that process, how best to come up with smarter ways of doing that. Additionally, many of the biomarker tests which are looking for early prediction of diseases, that is also being utilized with a lot of the new instrumentation available with the mass spectrometers and other technologies, and then narrowing down that choice with the machine learning to come up with the panels. Many US FDA based tests now, which are actually routinely being used to test for the breast cancer, ovarian cancer, much ahead of the time with just looking at the blood-based panel test. Even the lung cancer, there are some tests available. So I think proteomics, looking at the functional molecules, not only just the protein per se, I would say more multi-omics approaches, including the metabolites, lipids. And eventually, a dream could be, can we now develop our entire technology suite to develop a twin, which is the digital twin of an individual, right? Can we think about, generating all those biomolecule in functionality and look at a patient, with that data, with the AI tools as a digital twin, and then make more prediction longitudinally as we go along. Of course, those are much more of the dream, as I would say right now, but a lot of approaches are going on. And I think, as he was mentioning about UK has taken a lot of real lead into the big genomic data set at 100,000 individuals, and really made the things which looks now reaching out to much broader community. I've been part of one of those interaction and collaboration with the Imperial College in London, where they have the Human Phenome Project, and they are looking at just the phenotype impact, how to look at how the environment affects our metabolites and proteins over the time, and that triggers which diseases as you go to cardiovascular or cancer or diabetes. So they look for biomarker for early predictions of that. So again, a lot of these technologies will be, I'm sure, eventually going to be much more clinically helpful.
Yeah, so there's a lot of excitement and exciting work, not only related only to the genomics and AI, but in the background there are a lot of. So Dr. Bharat, how do you see these technologies when you are dealing with multiple different type of cancers, and sometimes these are the data is mature only to the one particular disease but not established in other. So how do you see the future of these? First comment from you, and then maybe from Sachin on the same question.
So fortunately, I have been part of evolution. During my MD days, teleconsultation was started. I was in a district place, and we used to connect to the peripheral rural health centers and used to look after patients coming to the tertiary health center. We are sitting there, and primary healthcare centers will used to be. This is like somewhere 2005, 6 or 7. Subsequently, I came to Tata, and the entrance had a question of EMR related to PACS. So we were in that, nave regarding the digital evolution. And the first EMR was started when I was in Tata. Like those days, we used to write those files. There used to be 150 files in CMLOPDs. We used to write 2 lines, and later on we used to take Xerox. And later on the pathology shooting, sample shooting also started in the same year. Right? This is year 2009. I attended the Koita Digital Health Center in IIT inauguration. I was there. Dr. Pramesh was there, and one of the private laboratory person was also there talking about how the CBC can be used for the predicting things. And then the same year I was in Stanford sitting in a canteen talking to a radiologist who was talking about, I need a couple of 10, 20 samples to predict HCC. Then I realized how much power we have in India. Our data is just lying in papers, and we are not trying to. And imagine with that, we can be, the problem of AI, unless you feed 100%, I realize, unless you feed 100% information, you can't be accurate. Because here I can't take a decision for a patient sitting in front of me. Then it's my responsibility to get all the information. And we have been trained to write by hand, examine the patient. That's why, if hacking, there was incidences of hacking, placed for radiation department in some of the hospital, the data gone completely. Then the clinician knows everything about the patients. That is where the clinical examination, writing by your hand. So in my clinic, everything is digital, but I make sure that at least 2 lines I write by my hands. So after seeing all these things, we can create a great change. But there has to be collaboration. We are privileged. We are sitting in Mumbai. We have IIT, CAR-T collaboration happened between Tata, and I have seen very closely. Dr. Rahul is also a good friend. Dr. Gaurav and Hasmukh. So like this, you have been doing a digital pathology work. And after radiology and pathology, I think clinicomics, like my decisions, also needs to be integrated. The people who are sitting in northeast remote part also should get help. That is the power of AI. So that if complete information comes to me as a clinician, you don't have to be, Bharat Bhosle sitting in some of the village, but without me, things can happen. But my responsibility that 100% correct data should reach me. I think that power, IIT can look, and now you have a network across the country, collecting the right data, and we can actually create a phenomenal change in this. In a nutshell, we can amplify the work. Instead of seeing 10 patients, I can see actually 1,000 patients in a day.
Yeah, and you can give you can be more confident on the therapy which you are offering at the end to the patient based on the data which AI tools will be offering to you. Some of the data you may or may not be using it, but at the back end you will be more confident, and even maybe even if like from pathology side, if a tool tell you it's the likelihood of like EGFR mutation is high, you will definitely push that patient or even call the lab. I want the report of this patient early. So there are many ways these can be helpful.
Machines can help in a big way.
Yes.
So Auckland Clinic, I was sitting there. So that is a lesser privileged part, and apart from Stanford. They have a good emergency room where nurses used to take the charge of the computers, where if some patient develops a febrile neutropenia in the community, the counts and everything used to come, the fever charting used to come, and then they used to send message online to that what antibiotic needs to be started. Amazing, But they have that much of human resources, machinery resources. I think somewhere we have to have that network built up with pilot projects successful in one part of the country, take it to the periphery, and looking at our numbers, even if you increase your oncology seats or surgical oncology seats, it's not enough. We used to feel that my time there were 2 seats, now there are in Tata 36 seats, DM. Yeah. And we used to feel that seats are increasing. Then we realized 2012, the paper came in Lancet that 40% of the death, because Indian registry is very poor in terms of documentation. We used to talk about SEER data set. The 40%, and first time the effort was made, they looked at the cause of death, and 40% of the cancer deaths are directly because of tobacco in male and 20% in female. See, this is the impact of a data collection. As you said, we collect the data. Sometimes we feel that bioinformatics, you do a whole exome sequencing and EGFR, we are happy like EGFR is positive, and what about the other information? Yes. There are so many viewers. Sometimes I feel they can give information. One patient is living longer, other patient is dying in few months. We have answer over there. Last 2 years, I've been looking at the data with the bioinformatics colleagues, and even if that data is not something to throw away, we can learn many things out of that, and there the AI plays a role.
Yeah, especially in the path. This is now the main focus is moving not only to the diagnostic or scoring ERPR, but the predicting responders and or differentiate responder from the non-responders. And Sachin, any comments from you in this regard? And
So, so there are so many things to talk about. Like, see, what I feel is that by educating ourselves and learning, we are only trying to increase our random access memory. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Sanjeev. We want, there is going to be an information, there is already an information overload, but we try to filter out things one at a time while making a clinical decision. We try to hone down. But in my opinion and in my experience, there is hardly any organ, cell or molecule in body that has only one function. It has multiple function, and each function has an impact on the function of the other. Now, to be able to understand that and collate all of this, that is where AI is going to assist us. Coming back to the upstream things like oncodiagnostics and other things, you told me about the 100 genome project that UK was doing. They are also doing a project of scanning 100,000 people, doing a whole body scan. So when that kind of data to be analyzed without AI, it is going to be very raw. So, and what Bharat was saying, when I came here for the first time, when I saw that there are so many labs who are able to do this comprehensive genomic profile and data, even if all of them today decide to pool all of it together, we'll have more than 100,000 genomes, right? So there has to be some way of collaborating. And in fact, with Dr. Om Shri and I, we were just thinking whether we can bring everyone together, especially the lab on the commercial side of things, and make it mandatory that, if you have done a CGP on a patient, and you can anonymize it and put it in one foundation where it can be used for future analytics. So we will beat TCGA, we will beat 1,000 genomes and everything. So I think we've got a lot of data, and we have power in numbers. And when it comes to refining AI, I think number and the data points are going to be the key.
And you brought this thing, and so I request even the various collaborators who are doing the research. So we also did one extensive sequencing on the lung, and finally decided not to restrict the data to ourselves, but to put it into the Genome India project, so that it can be used by the others and in the future. And also now I like to ask, because you also brought the issue of the commercial labs, I'd like to ask Yogendra about how is do you think the industry play a role to bridge all, because a lot of development, they don't come to the real clinical product if we don't have a team which is supporting, especially outside these academic centers. And so what is your feedback on that, and also addressing not only the clinical value but also a little light on the regulatory aspect which is at current in India?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for having me on this panel, which is doctor heavy. I specifically say doctor heavy because we have clinicians as well as PhD doctor here. I would like to take the bull by the horns that AI definitely is a life-saving and a game-changing opportunity that we have today. And I say it from 2 or 3 different aspects. First thing is it is able to help you screen huge amount of data. In the previous sessions, we talked about not just CGP, but then later on we said, okay, by doing a methylation screening, we could add value to giving treatment to the patient. So we are talking about multiomics. Dr. Srivastava just mentioned about proteomics, but it's not just proteomics, whole genome, whole exome, proteomics, epigenomics. I mean, these are all technologies which can give you data, but putting that data together and getting some meaningful result out of it, that is what AI can help you. So today, technology is using AI to generate data and help streamline that data. The major challenge that we have today is data is available in silos. People are working in different labs and the data is not coming together. Other area is standardized procedures. So we don't have a set standards which are being followed by all the labs across. So it is very difficult, even if you have data generated in different labs, but if the standards are not the same, you'll not be able to make meaningful utility out of it. So these are the areas I think that we need to work on, and it will definitely make life easy if you are able to apply the AI to better effect.
Thank you. Just changing gears back to the surgical technologies, which are evolving surgical technology and the robot and the minimal invasive procedures. They are talked a lot. So, Dr. Saumil, what is your experience and what is the and how are the patients reacting to these as per the existing clinical equipment, and also a little bit about the how is that are we geared up or for the training from the training perspective on these technologies.
Yeah, so surgery, there is a constant infusion of technology into any surgical branch. And we as surgeons really like that, because any technology which we can incorporate into surgical practice, which improves outcomes, makes the operation a little easier, gets us good results on the patient, is always welcome. One myth that I would like to, you mentioned about robotic surgery. So conventionally, we've got the conventional open surgery as far as the abdomen is concerned, and the minimally invasive, which is laparoscopic, and robotic is also a form of minimally invasive surgery. And the robot is only a gadget. The gadget is used by the surgeon. So it's not that the robot is performing the operation with the surgeon nowhere involved. The surgeon operates the robot and he's actually doing what, it's just an instrument that we are using. Obviously, the robot has advantages in terms of giving us good magnification, in terms of giving us a 3D vision, in terms of improving ergonomics for the surgeons, in terms of smaller incisions, doing bigger operations with smaller incisions, and this obviously improves patient outcomes and surgery-related outcomes. Having said so, I must say that not every operation is suitable for the robot. Not every patient is suitable for a robotic operation, and therefore it's up to the discretion, wisdom, and the experience judgment of the surgeon as to what kind of technology he must use for which patient to get the best result. So a poorly done laparoscopic or a robotic operation will have a worse outcome than the standard conventional operation, which can be done very well. Plus, the patient is a heterogeneous subject, right? So you can't apply the same principle to every patient. Somebody is 80 years old, multiple medical comorbidities, cardiac conditions, poor ejection fraction, can't withstand a 6-8 hour operation. You want to do something which is safe, which is time tested, do the standard open operation, give a good result, and cure the cancer. So I think it's an interplay of various things. Any new evolving technology is welcome. You would like to use it, but then you have to use your discretion at the end of the day. Patients and do demand that, or they want. I mean, they don't demand, but they obviously, when you hear of something new, you obviously want that because you feel it is essentially better. So this is where the clinical skill of the surgeon comes in. You use a mix of the evidence and experience put together so that you give the best outcome. So many times we also do what we call as hybrid approaches, which is a combination of robotic or laparoscopic plus open. And as far as training is concerned, yes, so whenever it's a skill-based branch, surgery is a skill-based branch, you want to upgrade yourself, you want to train, and you do need a finite volume to get better outcomes. And this is where collaboration with fellow surgeons across generations come into play. You would like to collaborate with surgeons who have more exposure to a particular technology. You upgrade yourself, you go through a learning process all the time. So, this is a constant evolving thing. You learn along the way, you collaborate with colleagues, and at the end of the day, you use your discretion to give the best to the patient.
Thank you. So that means the message which I get from it is part of your tools, and it's not although it is an expensive instrument.
Yeah.
And when it is, and many time now these tools must be also fed with the AI data to make them more and more precise.
Yes.
That means the surgeons don't have to worry about again their jobs, and with the
No,
fear,
no.
should not be any fear
Yeah,
about
I
using.
don't think the robot or AI is going to threaten the clinical skill of the surgeon.
Okay.
It's not going to happen. In fact, we will only use to enhance the skills. So for a very simple thing, we use something that we have now started using is a dye called indocyanine green. It's a very basic dye, very, very safe, and we use it all the time to look at intestinal anastomosis, to look at perfusion of tissues, how much blood flows into tissues, something that we didn't do 5 years back. And that came in with laparoscopic and robotic surgery, and we've actually started using that even for open surgery. So this is how, we apply the principles and take it on from there. So a good tool used badly is still going to give a bad outcome.
Yeah, so, but there must be now the patients which are more demanding towards these.
Yeah, so as and where we can use the latest technology, including robotics or laparoscopy, we do offer it to the patient. And at the same time, if I may use the sentence, that we would not succumb to an unreasonable demand where it cannot be implemented.
Sachin, over to you, because medical oncology is based, many things work on based on the clinical trials. And so how do you think the environment, working environment, especially in India, to execute these clinical trial, not only in the academic centers, but especially in when you're into the private hospitals and when you want to participate. So what are the your hurdles which you commonly face, and there must be some frustrating moments where when you want to offer a particular drug and you couldn't get the opportunity to do non-participation in the trials.
Yeah, I think you really touched a very sensitive nerve. When in UK, the systems are so mature and well established that once you open a trial in one hospital, you can actually literally open it in 100 hospitals, and it's going to be the same process, and it is relatively easy. The treatments are standard. Whereas what happens in India is that you have to personalize the treatment given to your patient based on a lot of things. One is their accessibility, their choice, their understanding, but also the financial part of things. Trial, unless there is a robust system of clinical governance and standardization of processes, becomes very difficult to be really honest in recruiting the patients for trial, because you will always get a very skewed data. The more than the process and system, I think there is something in the psyche and psychology also, because a lot of leadership roles that are being given to run trials are being dominated by a certain organization, and I think we have to be a bit more secular and allow scientific, what do you say, freelancing to be able to, for researchers and trialists to be able to recruit and do the scientific work up to their best ability. But in private system, there are good hospitals like SCG, perhaps Reliance also. We are very active in recruiting in clinical trials, but the kind of trials that I like to select here are very different from the kind of trials I would select to be PI in the UK. So there's a difference there.
Okay. We're running short of time, although there was many burning questions, but I'd just like to take rapid, quick rapid fire questions. So what are the one answer for what are the biggest hurdles which you feel for the adoption of these technology in healthcare? If you can give one topmost priority or the topmost barrier in your
I think
experience.
access and training.
Knowing that we are still at an immature stage and having that critical thinking before we adopt anything.
I think right type of data set to build those models will be quite critical.
Yeah, that even I also agree with you. That is the most, especially from the diagnostic side, it is one of the most prior.
So absolutely, I mean, I agree on that point that the data that we are generating, the standard of the data has to be similar. That is the first and most important thing. and then you can actually get good results out of it.
So all these points can be solved because in India, patient goes from A lab to B lab, A physician to B physician, then the data is not getting captured. I think collaboration across the country with different stakeholders is very, very important, like Western world, so that patient is even moving from one doctor to other doctor, the data is captured and we know what is happening. So endpoints, unless we get the endpoints, there is no meaning of getting genomics, proteomics, we don't know what is happening with the patient. I think collaboration is very, very important.
So any key message as a step to move forward, one solution from your end?
I think government is also taking initiative, but these are in very nascent stage. Many people have developed their EMR, some of them like startups, 90% obviously end up in failure, but I think we should look at those 10%, see what is the best and try to get maximum information about the patient because the end beneficiary is the patient. What we are talking here is the patient outcome. And then I'm good to see, people across beyond medicine are trying their efforts. One thing is doctors should go to the lab and the lab people should come to the clinics.
Yes.
That is very important.
Thank you. So we know that AI and these tools has a lot of potential, but we have to, and at the end we have to use them ethically and very responsibly so that the patients can be benefited. And with it, we end this session. And thank you very much to all the panelists for very healthy and energetic discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I request all the speakers to please stay back for the felicitation. And thank you so much, Dr. Rajiv, for extremely well moderating this discussion. I would like to request Dr. Rajiv to please felicitate the fellow speakers. I would like to begin with Dr. Saumil Vyas. Let's have a round of applause for our speakers. Dr. Sachin Trivedi. Dr. Sanjeeva Srivastava. Mr. Yogendra Davalkar. I request my audience to please keep rolling hands for our speakers whom we just listened. Dr. Bharat Bhosle. I would like to invite Dr. Manisha Khurana, ma'am, to please come on stage and felicitate our moderator, Dr. Rajiv Kaushal. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for steering this dynamic session. I request everyone to please come on center of stage for a group picture and let's capture this moment. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.